Hey, what's up, guys? It's Josh Thomas here with another Fanshare Sports course preview for this week's AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Many of you, I'm sure, I'm recording this right now during the Super Bowl. You probably just watched that halftime performance with Shakira and J-Lo. And wasn't that impressed, but what I was impressed with was the balls of steel that Webb Simpson showed today, finishing off the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Feel for my boy Tony Finau, just can't get over the hump, but I was all over Webb and DFS this week, and just he was due for a win here, and making that putt on 18 and then coming back in the playoff and making another one. He's easily, I think, a top 5 player in the world right now. I think the way his game kind of translates, for me, I think he's up there with the John Ram, the DJ, the Justin Roses. I really think that Webb has established himself as that sort of player. So fun to see him take down the Waste Management there. Good week. Benny On faded a little bit for us today. He was my win pick for the week. If you remember last week's course preview show, but definitely looking forward to another great event here back at a classic venue, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, the old Bing Crosby Clam Bake. This is a really fun test of golf. These guys get to play 3 different courses. They get to we get some actual celebrities out there as opposed to the Desert Classic a couple weeks ago. So it's a lot of fun. This is an event that I really do like. I don't like that it's again a course rotation and we're talking about no shot tracker, but it's fun to see some of those guys out there playing good golf, and we get a really nice field this week again because guys want to come here and play. We get to see Pebble Beach again after last year's U.S. Open. It's not going to play nearly as difficult. They set the courses up quite a bit easier this week because of the Pro-Am style of the event. So looking forward to a fun week. It's a bit different again. We have the 54-hole cut, so guys play all 3 courses, and then on Sunday everybody plays Pebble Beach. We look at I talk about some exciting times at Fanshare, that course suitability metric, but I really want to talk about is that improved lineup generator. So what you can do is build. It's very easy to build in wave stacks. So if I want to stack just guys that are on Spyglass or guys that are out early, things like that. What we'll see this week is that there is going to be a huge not huge, typically a very big difference in what course you play based on the weather. So a couple weeks ago, we saw that where, typically, the better guys played La Quinta first, and then they got to play the stadium course 2 weeks in a row at the Amex Desert Classic. This is more so going to be really reliant on weather. Everybody's going to tee off at the same time, but Monterey and Pebble Beach are both going to be extremely exposed to the wind and whatever sort of rain, anything like that they have. Whereas Spyglass Hill is a little bit further inland and isn't necessarily always going to have that sort of difficult conditions to play in. So, and we've seen conditions here go nuts in the past. I think we look over, jump up ahead a few slides here. So like when Brandt Snedeker, I believe, won in 2015, he wasn't anywhere near the front of the pack and put up a number early in the day before the winds got nasty, and everybody fell apart, and Brandt came away with the win. So again, love the lineup generator. It's so easy to use. You're building 150 lineups in a second. It's really one of the best out there. So I definitely like using that, especially for golf, and especially in situations like this where I feel like probably are going to have a wave advantage. Now, this is free content, right? So if you're not a Fanshare Pro member, you can sign up below. We'll have all the information about where we feel, between me, Lee, and all the other guys in our Discord, where we feel that the best stack is going to happen, whether it's, guys playing Spyglass, Monterey, Pebble first. Just when we get the forecast as it comes out, kind of solidifies on Wednesday, we'll be in there knocking that out. I'll have information about it in my pro member only lineup ownership article, breaking down what I feel like is going to give you the best chance in GPP this week. So again, we got the Pebble Beach Pro-Am here. It's in Pebble Beach, California, the Monterey Peninsula. We've got 2 par 72s and a par 71. If you notice, they're all under 7,000 yards, right? They are going to play very short. Okay. And that's why when we look at, tournament record, we got -22 for Brand Sneds, right? Or for Sneds. Poa Anna greens. The one thing about all these greens, especially like at Pebble, they are itty bitty. If you guys remember the US Open last year, right? Very difficult to hit greens. So Pebble is typically the toughest test of golf here, followed by Monterey and then Spyglass in terms of scoring. We look at some of the former winners here. Phil, 5-time winner of this event. Playing good golf right now, coming back across from overseas. I'm not sure. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. I think he's going to be very popular depending on what price tag comes out tomorrow. It might end up being chalk that isn't great. TP, but so we got the Phils, we got the Jordan Spieths, Sneds, DJ, multiple time winner. But we've also got guys that kind of pop up out of nowhere. So Ted Potter Jr., right? Dual DJ in a playoff. DA points winner here. Vaughn Taylor winner here, beat Phil Mickelson. You got guys like Kelly Craft, okay, Ches Reavie, Chris Kirk, Charlie Wee, David Duval. So I think there's a little bit of course history that comes into play here, but what I really feel like is ball strikers, Teddy P, Phil Mickelson, Jason Day, Ches, Kelly Craft, Brandt, right? Jimmy Walker, okay? You are looking for ball strikers. And what I mean by that is guys who are great iron players, okay? Typically, we want to hit fairways, right? That's kind of like the Vaughn Taylor model, right? He's not super long, but he's gonna hit fairways, and then he's gonna fire at these pins. So, I want guys that are going to gain strokes approach, especially into these small greens, right? You got to be deadly with your irons to be competitive here. We look this is how they had the course set up last year. If we look, Pebble actually played a little bit over par last year, 0.13 strokes over par. And Spyglass under par, and Monterey the easiest last year. Go back. If we look, we talk about Pebble, right? You're gonna see that over in here we're talking. These par fives are really where you got to make your hay on this course, right? The par fours are going to play very difficult, and the par threes are what I want to say they're all over par. So 0.7, 0.1, 0.126. Yeah, all the par threes are going to play over par. It's a very difficult test of golf, right? There's only 17 eagles on the week, 690 birdies, and when we get this birdie number very similar to the bogey number, that's when you're really looking at a tough test of golf, right? Hole number 9 played as one of the top 50. That little star tells you that played in one of the top 50 most difficult holes on tour last year. Now we get to Spyglass, a little bit inward. Also, Pebble, we had weather last year, right? So that really held the scores down. We look at Spyglass, right? A little bit easier. Okay, typically the back is going to play a little bit easier. Played almost a half stroke under par. You get a chance for a little bit of a streak there. So when we're playing Showdown this week, we're definitely looking at guys who are on Spyglass or Monterey. Those are the guys that we want to target. We typically want to stay away from Pebble Beach if we are playing Showdown. Again, nothing super long, some short par threes, 130 yards there. Very short par fours, right? 370, 349, 446, 399. So they're not necessarily drivable here at Spyglass, but they are gettable. You're not going to see a ton of eagles. Only 10 at Spyglass, but it's a birdie fest for sure if the weather cooperates. Now Monterey is where it's going to play a little bit easier. We see these par fives playing very easy. So like hole number 16 was the easiest hole on the course last year, played at 4.2 strokes on average, a par 5 at 500 yards. That's one of the easiest holes on tour. So you need your guys to at minimum make birdie there. Eagles not like outrageous. There's only 12, but definitely something to look at, right? We talk about, looking at areas where we can get points. Okay. Monterey though, right? Played 0.349 under his par, but look at this. Hole 9, hole 4, hole 1, all top 50 toughest holes on tour last year. So while there is opportunities for you to score there, I really think that we want to focus on Spyglass if we are playing Showdown, right? Spyglass is going to be the at least especially depending on the weather. So we can hammer guys that are going to be there. A little bit longer player typically does better at Monterey, but then you got a guy like DJ who over the course of, he's got multiple wins at this event, but over time, Monterey's kind of been the thorn in his side. So take a little look here at how this course kind of sets up. The thing that stands out to me right away, right? We're talking about three of the four shortest courses on tour that the guys play. Driving distance. Okay, look at this for Pebble, right? 269. There's tons of layups there. Tons of layups at Pebble. If you remember from the U.S. Open last year, whereas Monterey, you can just kind of let her buck. Driving accuracy, fairly easy to hit fairways at Monterey, fairly easy to hit fairways at Pebble, but Spyglass a little bit tougher. Okay, you're going to hit a ton of greens and reg at Monterey. Their green size is much bigger. Okay, little more eagles per round at Monterey, but then again, we're talking about these bogeys. 58, 45, 56 greens and reg. Pebble Beach is a very, very tough test of golf. Now, when we look at the bottom, we don't get shot tracker data for Monterey and Spyglass this week, which will drive me nuts all week, but we do for Pebble. So historically, guys, the third most fairway strokes per round. So guys are not hitting a ton into the rough here. Again, this is not going to play like the U.S. Open last year. It's going to be a much easier test of golf. So if you're looking at stats from last year's U.S. Open, take it with a grain of salt, right? It's not going to play that difficult. There's a lot of sand there, so we see a little bit more sand strokes per round, but the rough strokes per round, again, we're not seeing guys in there. But Pebble, driver wedge, every single hole, all right? Or 3-wood or 2-iron wedge, right? And we're seeing lots of approach strokes here in that 50 to 125 range. And then, pretty standard the rest of the way, not a lot of 150 to 175. So guys who did well last week at Waste Management, where we saw a ton more strokes here, may struggle a little bit at Pebble because now they're having to club down. So event history, like I said, it seems like if a guy doesn't come out of nowhere, he's typically got very good history here. So, guys that are multiple time winners here done really well. Phil, Jason Day, DJ, right? We got huge sample size, 6'5", 6 appearances, and they're averaging 86, 96, and 96 DK points around. So you want to give some credence to a little bit of course history this week. I think, guys who are just comfortable playing this rotation of courses and have done well. Jordan Spieth, right? We're right on the edge of Jordan Spieth being like outside of the top 100 in official world golf rankings. He is going to pass his 2-year limit. There's a couple of wins, after this year's Masters, right, where he is going to really fall off a cliff. So he needs to play some good golf if he wants to continue to get into the WGCs. Like, there's a realistic possibility that at the FedEx St. Jude this summer, if he doesn't improve his play, we're not going to see Jordan Spieth at that event. And this is all guys who are playing this week. I will say that, DJ and Phil are both going to be very, very popular, right? And for good reason, right? Phil's averaging 20 birdies every time he plays here, and DJ's averaging 19 birdies. That's insane. These guys have crushed this course over the year. Now, they're flying back overseas, right? There is maybe going to be some jet lag there. So I would take it with a little bit of grain of salt. I think Phil's game has been improving a little and, coming back to a course that he's had a ton of success at. He was garbage last year, came here and won. But I think depending on price, I can see Phil in that like $87, $88, $100 range on DK. I think he could end up being one of the highest owned plays this week. And a 40-whatever-year-old Phil Mickelson flying back across from overseas, like anything over 10%, like I'm going to be way underweight, if at all. Scott Stallings is an interesting name. He typically always plays well over here. We got three appearances at this event, some pretty impressive data there. Billy Haas seems like he's maybe getting his game back a little bit. I really like Paul Casey at this sort of event where, it's driver fairway wedge, right? That's right up Paul Casey's alley. Cam Champ played well here last year, can tend to overpower the course, but does get into a little bit of trouble with the bogeys, right? But he's going to give you that eagle equity as well. So again, I think this is a very fair test of golf. It's very hard to handicap because we're playing 3 different courses. But overall, we want guys who are accurate drivers of the ball. And if you're not going to be accurate, you better be long. Okay. And then, and I guess with that, right, we talk about guys who are long and maybe aren't super accurate. You can't just look by driving accuracy, because a guy like DJ, who's maybe not super accurate off the tee, well, he can club down. He's going to be inherently more accurate with the 3-iron, with the 2-iron, things like that. You see like a guy like he's not playing this week, but last year's U.S. Open champ at Pebble, Gary Woodland, crushed it, with that driving iron with the 3-wood. Justin Rose really did well there last year with the driver. Okay, but he was able to hit fairways and be long, which you can do both those things. You're in good shape. But Paul Casey, who's sneaky long, hits a ton of fairways. Love that guy. And then again, we're just always looking for great iron players. We want guys that can score, and we want guys that are going to stick it close. So a guy that I really like this week, hasn't played a ton to start the year, was good at the Century, and then kind of has taken some time off, is Patrick Cantlay, a West Coast kid, who, not a ton of experience here, but just I think that he is going to be a guy that is under-owned. And, I think that people are going to focus on guys like Phil, like DJ. And I think we might end up getting especially if Cantlay is priced up, we might be able to get him at a lower ownership than really he deserves. He hasn't played in a while. DFS is full of recency bias, right? So we haven't seen Patrick Cantlay in a while. People are going to forget about him. He's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8% less owned than he should be. So love Patrick Cantlay. I think, like I talked about, Phil and Dustin coming back across, they both played extremely well. I think DJ was second, Phil was maybe third, fourth. I think that people are going to look at that and look at their course history and really jump on them. I'm going to wait and see, right? I think we'll wait and see what the ownership looks like, but for me, I'd rather play guys that are just coming up from the Waste Management here or have been off, right? And then a sleeper, okay? Kurt Kitayama, an American, been playing on the European Tour, crushing. Right. He's got some history here. He's played here before. That's a name that you're going to have to watch. I think he could fall into that. He might, sometimes DK catches on and plays some of these Euro guys a little bit higher price, but I imagine he's going to be in that $68, $69, $7,000 range. I love Kitayama. I know that I talk sometimes about these guys coming over from Europe and not playing as well as they do over there, because obviously the European Tour isn't quite as class as the PGA Tour, but I love a cheap Kurt Kitayama coming back to the U.S. UNLV guy playing here. I definitely think he makes a ton of sense. So Kitayama's my sleeper for the week. Again, give us a follow on Twitter. Use that promo code Josh for 20% off any subscription. This is the week to do it. Use our lineup generator. Those course suitability metrics, I think, have been on fire. You get Lee, feeding you extra showdown info in the Discord, right? People talking about weather waves, where the advantage is going to be. You're not going to want to miss out on this week. Give us all a follow on Twitter. You can find me there. And then again, like I said, use that code Josh, get in. Let's win some money this week. Thanks, guys.